All right, in this video tutorial, we're going to show EZ-NetTools employees and web developers and designers how to use EZ-NetTools business theme and why you should use it. I developed this theme specifically because after using a bunch of different WordPress themes, I found that a lot of them were lacking, especially the free ones, but even the paid ones, they're either too bloated and big or they didn't have normal features that I would expect that they should have, like being able to put a phone number in the header easily. Things like that have oftentimes been difficult with just the standard run-of-the-mill WordPress themes. So I designed our own theme that's meant to be extremely customizable and very flexible, especially if you can get into the code. But even if you don't get into the code, you can still do quite a lot. So here's a few things that I've made with this EZ-NetTools business theme. Here's a dentist website. We have a website for a video producer. We have a website for a pharmacy here. We have a e-commerce site for animal control products. We have a website that sells domain names. We have a fashion website here that sells kind of gowns and such. We have a ranch website that has like ranch experiences in Eastern Idaho. And all of these were made with the same template to start with, but they were customized in various ways. So these are the kinds of things you can do with the EZ-NetTools business theme, especially if you're willing to work with a little bit of CSS and some code. But even if you don't, you can do quite a bit. So I'm going to show you, first of all, some of the basics. So when you first install the EZ-NetTools business theme, which you can get at our website if you're logged in, if you're an employee, I'll probably have instructions elsewhere for that part. But when you log in, you can go in here and click on Customize. And the homepage by default has this nice little banner. It's very flexible. You can change what all the text says and the button where it goes and where it says, and it's all right here. You can click on these pencils to kind of get you to the right place, or on the left-hand side, you can just click on Header Media, and then you can choose the height of this banner, how tall it's going to be. You can also change the text to say, you know, like my website, whatever. You can say like, we do really cool things. And then this is our call to action button. And we can change that to say something like, get a quote or something. And then you just change the link in here. So if there was like a quote page or a contact page, I could just type in /contact if I knew that was the name of the page, and it would link there. If I hit, and then if I want to change this image, I'm going to go down here and I can, there's a couple of images just in the template by default. But of course I can click here, add a new image, and I can upload anything from my desktop right in here, just fine. And you could actually even do videos if you want to. So if you go right here, you could type in a URL. This could either be a YouTube video, or you could click here and select a video and make sure you use a really small like MP4 video. Probably should be about a megabyte or less if possible, which is possible, by the way, if you use a program called Handbrake. It's an excellent program for compressing videos. I recommend it. So if you make videos, you can do things like, so you can do like a video like this, you know, kind of a big banner video like so. And this is about maybe a 10-second loop or so, maybe 12, I can't remember exactly, but it's a relatively short loop. It's compressed very well. So the video here is probably just about a megabyte or so in size, and it looks pretty darn good. So you can also, of course, use Elementor to work on these things. Like I don't think I use the standard video that comes with it here to make this. I think I might have hand coded the video, even though you can do it directly in the template, but I wanted to have a little bit more customization. So like I said, if you want to get rid of this banner and just make your own, you can do that easily enough by saying hide image right here, clicking this little button. And the banner will go away entirely, and you can code your own or use Elementor or some other tool to put a banner up there, or just have no banner at all. That's fine too. Anyway, so a few things you will want to know is you can change the logo up here. So it says right here, it says Echo Farm. And then there's a little thing underneath. It's hard to see. It says just another WordPress site. You can change that to whatever you need, or you can just click hide tag, and it will just show the name of the website and not the tagline, which frequently might be what you want. Also, you can click here and select a logo, and you can upload a logo of some kind. And you can also select a site icon. That's your fav icon. I do recommend making a little site icon. It should be square. It will replace this little gear thing that's put in here by default from Plesk. You can also turn on the sticky header. So that means as you scroll down the page, the header will come along for the ride, which is a nice feature to have. You can also add social media icons here. So if you go through here, you can add, let's say I wanted to add Facebook, whatever. And there I have an icon down here at the bottom. You can kind of see it says Facebook. And if I want to add Twitter, Pinterest, pretty much every major social media platform that you're likely to use is in this list. Again, you can also do this manually somewhere else, like in the template. But that's how you do that part. Also, you can change all the colors right here. If you go to colors, I can change the background color to be anything I want. I can make it purple if I want. I can make it green. I can make it blue. The same thing goes for the text color. So this is the background text. So if I make it blue, maybe the black doesn't look so good. So maybe I'll switch to white text, and that looks a little bit better overall. I'm going to take that out entirely there. And I'm going to clear that back to white. Same thing with the header. I can make the header any color I want. I can make it orange. And I can change the text of the header to be white if I want to. That looks just fine. And then I can also change the footer. So the footer's down here at the bottom. I can change that to be purple. And again, I can make the text white if I want. I basically recommend most of the time that you use your text. If you make the color about a dark color, just make your text white or a very, very light color of some kind. You just want to have good visual contrast. So that's how you can change colors. Now, of course, you can do all of this as well with CSS code. If you know CSS, the things you can do are pretty much unlimited as far as styling the site is concerned. And because this doesn't require you to have like a parent-child kind of theme, if you know what that is, you can actually go right into the template itself and make changes. So if I go into the back end and click Appearance or hover over Appearance, and then click on Theme Editor right here, I can get right into the CSS code and make changes all I need, which is really helpful. Sometimes you could take stuff out that you want. It just makes things, very flexible, very easy to work with overall. You can go in and you can actually make modifications directly to the header if you so choose. You can switch the default font right here by basically taking this line out. I know this is more advanced stuff, but if you're a web developer, you probably understand how this works. If you take this line out here where it says link and go to Google Fonts and grab a new one, you can just replace it right here. And then the other step you would do is you would replace the font family right here at the beginning of the CSS file. So there's a lot you can do. I know I can't go through everything here, but I kind of want to direct people in the right direction of how they do things. Another thing that's important to understand is how to add content into the footer. If I want to add something right here in the footer, I can just go to Appearance and then Widgets. And there are a couple of different sections where you can put widgets. There's the sidebar, which is where all of this right here, recent posts, recent comments by default are there. I could just take those out if I don't want that sidebar. Frequently, I do not. Sometimes I do, but probably more often than not, I take it all out. And then once I do that, you'll see if I hit refresh, now that bar is gone. Now in the footer, the way this works is there's a footer first row, second row, and third row. And the things that I put in here will sit next to each other. Let me show you what I mean. If I put in a text file here and I say phone number, and then I put in another text file and I say popular pages. And then here I could just say like home, portfolio, I don't know. And here I'm going to say 555. I can save these. And they will now, if I refresh, they will appear in the footer side by side. And I can put 3 or 4 columns in here just fine. And then if I want things to be underneath that, let's say I wanted this actually to be underneath instead of being next to it, I could just move it to the second row, refresh. And now the phone number sits on top and the popular pages sit below it. If I wanted to modify this footer more extensively, I can absolutely go into the theme editor again, and I'm editing the style.css. And if I just do Control F and type in footer, like so, I can see all of my footer code right here, and I can actually customize this any way I want. I can change the background color, I could change the way the widget areas work and flex and such. Again, this requires a little bit more advanced knowledge, but it can be very helpful. Now, again, you don't have to go into the CSS. This is not required, but if you do know CSS and you're comfortable with it, you can go directly in here and just make changes. But if you don't, that's okay. I do recommend that you can that you use Elementor or Elementor Pro, probably, depending on the nature of the website you're doing. And you can do that by going to Plugins, Add New. And you can basically, you could do one of two things. If you want to just get the basic Elementor, you could just type in Elementor. And we can just install it. If you want to use the Pro version, we have a copy in the employee section of our website. You can download it there. But Elementor is quite helpful. You can do a lot of things with it. If I go to Activate and I make a new page, if I just go to Pages, Add New, I can make myself a brand new page. And this is the Gutenberg editor, the kind of standard these days in WordPress, but frequently I will turn on the classic one because I like it better, honestly. Maybe someday Gutenberg will be good enough that I won't feel inclined to turn it off, but for now it's still not my favorite. But right now I'm going to say, I'm just going to call it example, and I'll just hit publish to save this file. It's really, really basic, obviously, right now. And this, I'm going to hit view page so you can see what it is. It's basically nothing, just a blank page right now. But if I want to work on an Elementor, I can click right here, Edit with Elementor. And I can add all kinds of things. For example, if I want to add a heading, I can just drag it in right here and say, like, this is an example page. And maybe I don't really like how this is blue by default. A lot of times Elementor will make things have a default color. I almost always turn this off, to be honest. And I would probably do that here in a moment, but I'm going to center it. I can choose this to be an H1 tag. And let's say I want to add now just some basic text. There we go. That's fine. You know, this is kind of a gray color. I like to turn these off, then we can style them with CSS and have things a little bit more consistent, I suppose. So that's fine. And then let's say I want to add a photo. Just add it right here. And let's make it a, I don't know, I should have probably put some things in here. I'm not going to worry about the photo too much. I do want to show you how to add columns because that's really important when you're working in here. There's 2 ways you can add columns. You can click here and make a new section and then choose, like, say, 2 columns. You can adjust them like so. And then you could drag like an image right here. And then you could drag a text editor right here. And that looks fine. That's really important foundational things to know, is how to add columns. And you can actually add inner columns as well. So if I go in here and add an intersection, I could make another little piece right here. And I could say I'm going to put text here, and then maybe we'll put another text right here. So, and that's kind of, you know, some basic concepts there. If I wanted to add 3 columns, I can do that. And maybe I want to add a, oh, I don't know, maybe some icons or videos or buttons. Maybe I'll do some buttons where I just drag them in here like so. Maybe I'll make that full width, or I could go centered if I want to. Can make it maybe large. And then I can actually copy this, just paste it in here, paste, paste. I can even copy styling. So if I wanted to edit this button, go to Style, And let's say I wanted to change the typography. I wanted to make this size really big for some reason. And maybe I want to make the background color red. I could do that. And then I could hit copy like this again. Then I can go over here and say paste style. Paste style. Very nice. These are just some basic concepts of what you can do. You could even add an HTML block, I do believe. So if you go in here, you could add an HTML block, and if you know code, you could hand code a little section. For example, maybe you want to make a banner and make it very fancy, do some very, custom things. You could go in here and start writing, section, and maybe I give it an ID of banner equals banner. And then I say, this is the banner. And then I could even write a style sheet right in here if I wanted to. And I'll say banner, background, black, and color, color white. Maybe I'll say padding 25 VW. That's too big. Maybe 5 VW, something like that. I could tell it to be centered. Text align center. There we go. So that's a, just a really fast example of what you could do as code if you know what you're doing. And again, that's how I might have done something like this, for example. If I actually go into edit Elementor on this page, you can see what I've done here. So if I right click on this HTML block, you'll see I actually did hand code this because I had some very specific things I wanted to do. And I wanted to make sure that they came out the way I wanted. For example, this is a little SVG file, this little swoosh, this little curvy image. It's actually an SVG file, and that's right here. And I kind of made sure that it sticks to exactly the bottom. I just wanted to make sure it looked exactly the way I wanted. So I coded it, and I used some CSS styling right here to style my banner. And I made sure that it looks good on all screens, whether it's a desktop, tablet, or mobile. By the way, a useful feature in Elementor 2 is you can actually look and check your website on desktop, see roughly how it looks like on a tablet, and roughly how it looks on a phone. This is very useful because you need to make sure that your website looks good on all sizes. A lot of people don't do that sometimes, especially if they're not, experienced. They will end up just looking at their screen and making the website and not paying attention at all to what it looks like on a phone, which is pretty important. Tablet is probably the least important of the three, although it's still important to make sure your website looks good there. But from what I've seen is most people are using desktops or phones, probably 80 to 90% of the time. And there's about maybe 10% or less that might be using tablets too. But you want to at least make sure that it looks really good on a desktop and on a phone. And make sure it looks good on a tablet as well. So those are some basics of how to, just kind of a whirlwind example of how to use the EZ Business theme. Some of the things you can do. A couple of things I thought I should just mention too. They're small things, but they're important. You can add a phone number to the header really easily if you go back to customize. And if I just go in here, you'll notice it's kind of showing up there, but it's not actually going to show up yet. And not until I change what this phone number says will it really show up when I hit publish. But if I wanted to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, now it's going to show up here on the right-hand side. And I can actually hit publish, and this will stick now. So if I hit publish and then click the little X to get back out, you'll see that that phone number is right there in the top right. Got your navigation in the center. We have our logo or our name in the left. We have our banner. One more thing, actually, sorry, there's always one more thing, right? So see here, this is right now, by default, WordPress likes to be a blog, or at least its default state is that, but 95% of the time, that's not what I'm doing. It might be a website with a blog, but it's almost never a blog first and foremost. So to change this, we go to settings, and then we go to reading. And then I'm going to click on static page. And I'm going to click here, and I'm going to say, I want the static page to be the example page that we just made. And I'm going to hit save changes. Most of the time I'm going to call home. Honestly, usually I make a page called home and I make that the main static page. But for now, we'll use this. And now you'll see that below my banner, I have that this is an example page. There we go. I guess I never really saved that, did I? Most of it anyway. That's fine, doesn't matter. But that's just a good demonstration of how that works. If I wanted to make the home page that, I just go add new. Let's just say home. I'm gonna hit publish. And by the way, I really don't love the way they do this, but if you go here and say, let's see. Oh, here we go. If I turn off full screen mode here, so if I click on these 3 dots and then click full screen mode, it'll bring back the side navigation, which I think is much better in my opinion. You really don't need that much screen real estate when you're on a big desktop, but there we go. And if you want to bring back the classic editor, you can just click on add new and click install now. Hopefully this isn't getting too rambly at this point. There's so many things probably to cover, but I wanted to cover as many as I reasonably could in a not too long video. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude now, but I do recommend using this theme. It is very flexible and you're not going to be constrained the way you will with a lot of other WordPress themes. Pretty much anything you need to do can be done. You just have to know how to do it, I guess. A lot of times with the other WordPress themes you're going to find, you're going to be locked into what features they give you. And that can be quite limiting sometimes. The client will come back and say, hey, do this. And you're like, the template won't let me do that. And that's not anything you really want to ever have to say too much. So if you use this theme, you won't be locked in. You won't be able to have to say, no, that template doesn't let me do that. You can pretty much do whatever they ask as long as you understand how things work. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video. If you have questions, if there's things that I missed that were important, by all means, please tell me. And I'll try to maybe make a better video in the future. Thanks. Bye.